welcome to the She.Must.Knit podcast. Yes, I have started a podcast. Crazy, I know, but everybody's got one, so why not, right? Right. If you know me already, you'll know that I am a co-host on the Knitting at Tiffany's podcast with my friend Tiffany. It is more of a chitty-chatty, knit night, fun podcast, and I'm also the creator behind Bling string, bags, stitch markers, yarns, etc. So I've decided to start a podcast. I wanted to do this mainly because I wanted to focus on a few of my projects, a bit more of my knitting, go into a bit more detail, but also I've been wanting to do some customer-driven product collections, and I thought this would be a good format for that. So this is not episode 1. I've decided to do an introduction video, just so that all that background that some people like to know before you get into the knitting meat is kind of in its own separate video, so that it's not going to take up a lot of space in my first episode. I really want my episodes to be around 30 minutes. You know, I'm busy, you're busy, we've all got things to do. I wanted to keep them at a more condensed time frame. And so I thought by putting the introduction stuff in its own video, it will help with that first episode, just getting right into the knitting. So, about me. I probably should have started with my name, but whatever. My name's Erin, and I live in Southern Ontario, just outside of Toronto, about 30 minutes. I used to live in Toronto, but we moved about 6 years ago. I live here with my husband, Dennis. We'll be married 10 years this year, and we have a 6-year-old tiny teenager named Avery. Any of you have tiny teenagers? Oh my god. Anyway. And we also have a cat somewhere around here. We adopted him about a year ago. His name is Mr. Trouble. He is aptly named. He gets into all kinds of mischief. If you follow me on Instagram already, you know this, but he may make an appearance. Can't guarantee. So that's me, immediate family nutshell. And then I come from a family of 4 kids. My 3 younger brothers. I did a lot for them, so I'm going to be mentioning them. The youngest is 10 years younger than me, and the oldest of my younger brothers is 6 years younger than me, and the middle one is somewhere in the middle. I can never remember how old he is. So growing up, I mainly grew up in Toronto, and growing up, creativity was always a big part of my life. That was my outlet. Like, my brothers were into soccer and sports and stuff like that. For me, it was art. And in elementary school, all through elementary school, I was really strong in art. High school, I was really strong in art. And then I eventually went to the University of Guelph, and I majored in art. And from that point, after graduating, I always knew that I wanted to somehow have a creative business. I just didn't know how I was going to get there or what kind of business it was going to be, but I knew I wanted to have a creative business. And so right after university, actually university was where I got back into knitting. So let's bring this back to knitting. So I actually don't remember learning how to knit. I don't remember who taught me. I don't remember how old I was. I don't remember what I made. Obviously I learned, because in university, and around the first year, I remember making a teddy bear for my then boyfriend. Not my husband now, but he doesn't have to know that. And I remember the pattern I used. I think I still have the book. And I mean, YouTube, there was no YouTube to tell you how to do things. So I figured it out. Like, I remember making it, and I remember not having a problem making it. So obviously I had those skills already. I just don't know where I got them. So that's where I remember getting back into knitting. And then after university, like I said, I wanted to do something creative, but I didn't know what, and I ended up getting a job at Lewis Craft. You Canadians, do you remember Lewis Craft? Yeah, so I worked at Lewis Craft. And that's where I started getting more into knitting. I still wouldn't say I was a knitter, but I knew how to knit. I could help people who came into the store, and help them with their problems. But it was more the other crafts that were in the store that I was drawn to, like more the painting, more the, I was really into, remember, gallery glass, really into that. So that was more my draw, and then knitting was kind of a side thing. But then, as we know, Lewis Craft went. So after Lewis Craft, I moved on to another craft store, and I was the assistant manager there. And they were more knitting focused. So that's when I really started to get more into knitting, and the yarns were different. And around 2008 was when that boom, that knitting boom in the industry started happening. You know, Ravelry was around, independent designers were coming out with really, really nice patterns. Fancy yarns were coming out. Like, it just started getting really exciting. And that's when I really, really, really started getting into knitting. Like, all the other crafts, I mean, I still do them, like scrapbooking and stuff, still do them, but all the other crafts kind of got pushed to the side, and knitting was my focus. So that was around 2008. And at that time, I also had I had started a side business, jewelry business. So I was working at the craft store, and I had my little jewelry business, and that was going on from about the same time, so 2007, 2008. And then in 2010, I started Bling String. So that's where that came in. So for a number of years, I was actually doing both the knitting accessory business and the jewelry business. I actually just stopped the jewelry business about a year or two ago, but Bling String has pretty much been growing ever since, and it's where my passion is, and I love it. So that's what I've been doing. Now that we've gone through that, what kind of knitter am I, right? So who am I as a knitter? Basic facts. I'm a continental knitter. I hold the yarn in my left hand, but it's not your typical continental knitting. I've actually been told when I've been out at knit nights or knitting around people who don't know me, I'll notice people looking at me, and I've been told I knit weird, and that's fine because it works for me. I actually don't tension my yarn. Maybe one day I'll put a little video of actually I think I have a video on Instagram of me knitting. I don't tension my yarn, I just hold it. Works for me. I don't find I have loose tension or tight tension. I can use the needles that a pattern states, so it works. I'm not a super speedy knitter, but I'm not a slow knitter, so I do get a lot of products done. I am a process knitter, so I don't really, Mr. Trouble. That's his window spot, so he's watching the traffic. But so process knitter, I don't knit generally for the product. I don't care so much about the end result. I enjoy the process. I enjoy picking out the pattern. I enjoy picking out the perfect yarn. I enjoy making the item, and then I give it away, and they can do whatever they want with it. So as you will see in future episodes, a lot of the projects that I make for myself never get finished. I have a whole shelf of whips just over there that are mainly projects for myself. So I'm hoping to improve on that. There are some projects this year for myself that I really want to tackle, and I really want the end result. So I don't know if you can hear him. What is he doing? He's playing with string. Of course he is. Because I'm doing something right now. He has to play with string. Anyway, so what kind of projects do I knit? I knit a lot of socks. I've knit socks for years, mainly for my brothers and my husband. This year is the first year that I've started making socks for myself, and I really like wearing hand knit socks. I never thought I would. I never got the thing. I never got why people were all crazy about socks. I just knew my brothers liked them, and I had fun making them, but I really enjoy making them and wearing them. So that is going to be a big focus this year. Just tweaking the numbers to get my perfect fit. I love making garments for other people. Last year I made one sweater for myself that I actually wear. Before that, I've made lots of sweaters that I hate to admit that a lot of them I've donated to, like, Goodwill. I think what my issue was, it's not really an issue because I'm a process knitter, right? But I would make a sweater because I loved how the sweater looked, not necessarily thinking about how it would fit into my wardrobe. So I'd see a pattern, I was like, oh, that's such a great pattern, I'm going to make it, and I make it, and it doesn't fit my wardrobe, so I would never wear it. Whereas now, I'm getting more comfortable with the kind of what wardrobe I have and what pieces fit into that wardrobe. And so there's a bunch of sweaters that I have in my queue and in my favorites that I know will work in my wardrobe, and if I can just get through them, I know I'll wear them. So I'm hoping to get there this year. So garments for myself, you might see garments for Avery. always making garments for her, to the point now where I'm like, really, I think she has enough, but they're so much fun. Like, kid garments, they're so quick and they're easy and they don't take a lot of yarn, and you can use all kinds of fun colors. So you're probably going to see some stuff for Avery too. Other than that, shawls, I'm not really a shawl knitter. I've made one or two. A lot of them I've given away. I have one hanging on my wall that I've never worn. I have my exploration station. That is the only one I wear. It is like purses for me. I have one purse that I love and I use, and I don't need multiple purses, and the shawl is the same way. My exploration station is the perfect shawl for me. I love it. I wear it all the time. I don't need any more shawls. So if I make a shawl, it's going to be more because I want to make that pattern, and I'll probably give it away. I'd have no problem giving it away. So those are the type of projects that you'll probably see. I'm pretty comfortable with all kinds of techniques. There's really, I think the only thing I haven't tried is entrelac, and I don't know if I have a desire to try that, but I might just to say I've done it. Who knows? So finally, what kind of podcast do I want this to be? Like I mentioned before, I want the episodes to be a reasonable length, about 30 minutes. I have lots of projects. I knit all the time. I'm very fortunate that I have a schedule, that I have lots of time to knit. So I have a lot of projects, and I will still be showing things on the Knitting at Tiffany's podcast, and I will be showing different projects. So if you happen to watch both podcasts, there will be different items that I show on this one and that one. I have lots of projects to go around. So yes, I want to focus on just a few projects each week, maybe one or two, and then things that have caught my eye, things that I'm interested in, other things that I might think you're interested in, and then spinning. I also spin. I started spinning in 2014, I think, and I dove right in. I barely touched the spindle. I think I had one spindle, and I was just like, I don't get this. I just don't get how this works. This is not enjoyable. And I basically went right into a wheel. One of the ladies at my then knit group had a wheel that she wasn't using, and she was selling it, and I was like, sure, I'll take it, right? Never tried it, never tried a wheel at all in general to know if I even liked it. I just figured I would, and luckily I really like her wheel. Well, it's my wheel now, but I really liked it, and we work great together, and we make beautiful yarn. But again, back to process. I am more of a process spinner as well. I like the process of spinning. I like making the yarn. I like experimenting with making different types of yarn, but I don't always have a desire to use that yarn. So I will trade the yarn a lot. I will give it as gifts a lot. There are a few skeins that I'm like, no, I'd really like to make something with this, but in general, I'm not overly attached to my spinning. I just really like the process of spinning. So you will see spinning. There will be spinning, and there will be some featured projects and all kinds of stuff. And I said in the title that it's a crafty podcast versus just a knitting podcast, because I do still do other crafts, and I want to leave room for that. If I choose to share a craft that's other than knitting, I wanted to leave room to share that. So on top of that, at the end of each episode, I plan on featuring a collection that I've made for the Bling shop, with bags and then some yarn and then some sock blanks that are all kind of coordinated. So like I'll pick a fabric and I'll dye some coordinating yarn and sock blanks to go with that. Just a small collection each week. And I'm going to start off with some that I've chosen just because I'm just starting. But going forward, I would really like them to be driven by you. I'd really like to know what kind of prints you would like to see, what kind of colors you would like, what kind of, styles of prints, animal prints, cutesy prints, whimsical prints, florals, geometrics, fandoms, I want to know what you want to see, and then I can get all kinds of fabrics in, and I will order those fabrics, and I will create collections around those fabrics to show at the end of each episode. Either each episode or every other episode. We'll have to see how that goes, but that's the idea. I want to have a little collection at the end of each episode that is driven by what you want to see. So that's basically that's basically what I want to accomplish with this, in a condensed form here. I hope you enjoyed this little intro. I'm sure that I missed things, but whatever, there's lots of time for that. If you have any questions about something that I may have missed, just let me know. I'll answer them going forward. And I should be able to, I'm hoping to have my first episode put together soon, and I hope you enjoy that as well. So I will see you soon, and happy knitting.